Designer Daria Dmitrieva told about the difficulties in cooperation with Kostornaia. Earlier, designer Alyona Kuklycheva stopped cooperation with Alyona Kostornaia, saying that the figure skater did not pay for the competition costumes and did not return part of the dresses for the show. Kostornaia later handed over the costumes for the show in a bag labeled La Urat. Kuklycheva revealed that the figure skater did not return everything. "Let me start by saying that I am an independent designer. I have my own atelier Daryanica, and I do not work as a seamstress or assistant in Elena Kuklycheva's atelier. She and I have been friends for a long time, and we are united by another project, for the sake of promoting which I agreed to help. So, I started working on costumes for Elena and Georgy Konitsa at the end of August. Alyona Kuklycheva, who has been working with Kostornaia for a long time and had quite warm relations with her, asked me to participate. Very urgently, without payment, but for advertising. Yes, there were no contracts, everything was discussed by word of mouth and personal correspondence. Which only speaks to the trusting relationship and how much everyone's word is worth in the end. I completely made costumes for Georgy for the ice show. His looks for Vivaldi and Romeo and Juliet, plus the black shirt for the final exit, were my handiwork. I also helped a little with 2 of Elena Kostornaia's dresses. We had 3 days for everything. To be on time, I had to spend the night in Kuklycheva's workshop, because mine is on the other side of town and I didn't want to waste time on the road. Besides, this workshop is closer to the skaters. I went along to help the guys out. It was a pleasure to work for athletes of this level, especially if it would benefit the project and me as a designer. I work more with gymnasts. I wanted to get experience with figure skaters as well. During the whole time I didn't hear a basic thank you from either Elena Kostornaia or Georgy. Having rested for 3 days, we started working on costumes for their short and free skating programs. There I completely created 2 looks for Georgy and Elena's jumpsuit. During the 8 days of labor, I slept at home once. I saw my family, washed and changed my clothes. It was very hard, but I did it for the sake of promoting our project and because I promised to help. I had no right to let anyone down. I remember Alyona Kostornaia once came to the workshop and asked, "How long will you be homeless?" At first it may have sounded funny, but then it wasn't. Then Alyona asked me to make black swan, angel and fairy dresses. When they were made, I was no longer there. I decided to get out of slavery. Other designers helped. Then Kostornaia still decided to mention me in stores as in social network, although it was about a post with a mark. It had been 3.5 months since I started, and by then I was completely disillusioned. I didn't care whether there would be any return from the skaters. At the end of the cooperation I can say that I don't hold a grudge against the guys. It's just that they are young, and success fell on them quite early, which gave an imprint on their behavior. I don't need anything from them, Dmitrieva said. The 116th European Figure Skating Championships kicked off in Kaunas, which was originally scheduled to take place in the Hungarian capital. However, due to financial problems, the organizers were unable to hold the tournament, and Lithuania bailed out the situation by providing the opportunity to hold the competition, albeit 2 weeks earlier than planned. Nevertheless, the competition started and the first to take to the ice were the participants of the short programs in pair skating. Minerva Fabienne Hayes and Nikita Volodin were seen as the favorites of the European Championships. This new Russian-German duo had impressed everyone by winning the Grand Prix final and 2 legs of the series, and they were second only to the North American pair in top scores that season. However, before the European Championships, Minerva began having health problems, which caused concerns. Despite the nervousness and some roughness in the performance, the pair managed to avoid any gross errors. They received 69.63 points, which earned them silver. The leadership was unexpectedly seized by debutantes Anastasia Midukina and Luka Barilova, training in Perm under Pavel Slyasarenko. Even though they had a weak warm-up due to a low rating, they delivered their best performance of the season. Their performance was recognized for technique, clarity and no questions asked. In Beijing, they received a point less, but despite being slightly disappointed with their results, they believe they have room for growth. In the short program results, the top pairs were all close to each other. Kostornaia spoke out about Mitokina and Barilova's short program win at the sea. Coach Pavel Slyasarenko is starting to stake out territory quite clearly, and on a wide front, not only in Russia. His charges Nastia Mitokina and Luka Barilova, Georgia, scored 40.27 for technique in the short program, for a total of 71.30, and this is, firstly, their personal record, and, secondly, the level of the Russian World Championships behind the two leading duets. Slightly lower if you compare the numbers, but you have to realize that the athletes paired up in the spring of 2023 and are juniors in general. In my opinion, this is a solid counterargument to the opinion that there is no one to watch at the European level without Russian couples. The director Sergei Plyshkin is a great success for Russian pairs skating. Again, Slyasarenko had the most luck with him. Interesting, unusual, memorable. And it's a good flick on the nose of those who think that there are no outstanding programs in pair skating under the current rules. It is clear that the word outstanding here is an advance and a compliment, but the work is worthy from all sides, wrote journalist Elena Vaitkovskaya in her Telegram channel. Minerva Fabienne Hayes and Nikita Volodin commented on the performance in the short program. After the short program at the European Championships, the pair goes in second place. There was no panic and fear today, except that in the jump there was a feeling at some point that it could not be saved. I am glad that I coped and went out. It would have been a shame, it doesn't happen in training. I think nerves let me down, of course. After all, it was my first European Championship. I trembled a little after the 6-minute warm-up, and Minerva, on the contrary, panicked a couple of days before the competition. But we tried not to save our strength and skate wide. In the Grand Prix final, because of my illness, we thought only about getting to the elements normally. But here we lost levels offensively, on the totus and track, which is not typical for us. The arena here is huge, we have to get used to it. I hope that we will be calmer for the free skating program. Dmitry Savin, coach, helped us to adjust. Well, boys usually don't need it, we are all fighters, but he knows how to talk to girls before the start. He can also help in case of force majeure with boots and laces, as you know. I have a rule since some time: the day before the competition I change the laces on both skates. No superstitions, the main thing is reliability. Did I watch the Russian Championship? Of course, I won't hide it, I was happy with the result. I was rooting for Messina and Galyamov. And it was very upsetting because of the story with the laces of the guys, Osakina and Gritsienko. It's a pity when something like that happens at the Russian Championships, it's a real drama, Volodin said. Yes, Dmitry is a real lifesaver. I was a little shaky before the skating, and he took me by the shoulders and said, "Doubts away, go and show what you can do. You have to go out and give yourself on the ice, so that later there are no regrets." I myself wondered why I was so nervous. Maybe it's the fact that I got sick right before New Year's Eve, and the preparation was blurred. I don't feel I'm 100% ready. But I will not complain, my task is to cope. We have a great team, we will have fun tomorrow, it's a great rink and a great atmosphere, added Hayes.